In the year 2142, the Earth's sky-blue seas were dotted with floating cities. The wealthiest of the wealthy lived on these high-tech platforms, enjoying lives of luxury above the water's surface. Ocean City 7 was one of the most famous. It wasn't just a place, it was a status symbol, and everyone knew that if you could afford to live here, you were at the top of the food chain. Karen, a well-known socialite, had always gotten what she wanted. She had the money, the connections, and the attitude to go with it. But there was one thing that had always intrigued her: a massive golden yacht docked at the edge of Ocean City 7. It wasn't like the other sleek ships in the harbor. This one looked like it was built from something that belonged to the stars. Smooth, reflective surfaces that shimmered under the sun like a piece of space. It was called the Diesel, and whispers about it were all over the port. The Diesel? Isn't that the yacht owned by him? A local asked, eyes wide with awe. Karen had heard the stories. The Diesel was owned by Vin Diesel, a man who had become a legend. He hadn't been seen in public for years. People said he was some kind of genius, a mix of billionaire businessman and mysterious hero. No one knew much about him, but rumors spread like wildfire. Some said he controlled entire industries. Others claimed he had connections to things so big they were out of the government's reach. None of that mattered to Karen, though. She wasn't interested in the legend. She was interested in the yacht. It was worth millions, maybe even billions. She wanted to touch it, to get on board, to prove she could. Karen wasn't the kind of person who let rules stop her. When she saw an opportunity, she took it. This yacht, with all its power and mystery, was no exception. With a sly smile, Karen pulled out a small device from her bag. It was a fake access code, nothing too fancy, but enough to fool most systems. She'd used these codes before. She wasn't worried. She walked to the dock, her friends following closely behind, laughing at the thought of what they were about to do. "This is going to be so fun," one of her friends whispered, glancing around to make sure no one was watching. Karen's fingers flew over the device as she entered the code, her heart racing in excitement. The yacht's massive gates slid open with a smooth hiss, as though inviting them in. She couldn't help but feel like she was entering a world that didn't belong to ordinary people, a world that belonged to legends. As Karen and her friends walked up the ramp, the ship's AI voice echoed through the air, soft but firm. "Unauthorized boarding detected. Please identify yourself." Karen ignored the warning. She knew how to get around this. She had done it before. "Ignore that," she said to her friends, who were now giggling behind her. "Let's get inside and see what this thing is really about." But the ship wasn't like the others. The moment they stepped onto the deck, the yacht hummed to life, a low vibration under their feet that felt like it came from the heart of the ship itself. A voice, deep and commanding, boomed from the speakers, cutting through the laughter. "Unauthorized boarding detected. You have violated security protocols. This vessel is under the protection of Captain Diesel." Karen froze for a moment, but quickly shook off the chill of fear that crept up her spine. She had no intention of leaving. She had already crossed the line, and she wasn't going to back down now. With a defiant smile, she waved her hand, dismissing the warning. "It's just a system glitch. We're fine," she muttered, walking further onto the deck. Her friends followed, albeit more cautiously, looking over their shoulders as if expecting someone to appear from nowhere. But no one came. The yacht was eerily quiet, its massive hull gleaming in the light. The only sound was the soft hum of the ship's engines. Karen reached the center of the deck, her eyes scanning the luxurious surroundings. Everything about the yacht screamed power. The furniture was unlike anything she'd ever seen, sleek, futuristic, and made of materials that didn't seem to exist anywhere else in the universe. There were no crew members, no staff, nothing but the ship itself. Karen felt a small thrill of victory. Suddenly, the gates behind them slid shut with a loud clang, locking them inside. She whipped around, her heart skipping a beat as she realized they were trapped. But before she could say anything, a low voice filled the air, reverberating through the deck. The voice was calm, yet somehow terrifying. "You've just made the last mistake of your life." The words hung in the air like a warning, and the temperature on the yacht seemed to drop. Karen's smile faltered for just a second. She tried to laugh it off, But deep down, a sense of dread began to grow. What had she gotten herself into? The ship's AI had no interest in humor, no interest in the small tricks she had used before. And the people she had just crossed, they weren't the type to let anyone off easy. The hum of the yacht intensified, and the air grew heavy with tension. Karen realized, too late, that this was no ordinary ship. It wasn't just a yacht, it was a vessel with a purpose. And Karen had just become part of it. As she looked around at her friends, all of them frozen in uncertainty, the voice spoke again. This time, it was directed straight at her. The golden yacht was no longer quiet. Bright lights blinked along the floors and walls. Screens came to life, showing strange symbols and lines of code. Karen and her friends stood frozen in the center of the ship, surrounded by glowing technology they didn't understand. What? What is this? Her friend Kira whispered, stepping back toward the locked gate. Karen tried to stay calm. Relax. It's just a scare tactic, she said, though her voice shook a little. We've done this before. The system will reset. But this wasn't like the last ships she had broken into. This wasn't a party yacht owned by some rich show-off. This ship knew them. It was studying them. A soft mechanical voice rang out. Not loud, not angry, just calm and far too intelligent. Karen Lawrence, age 34, convicted of 3 counts of digital fraud, escaped charges due to influence, record sealed by Judge Franklin, illegally. Karen's blood turned cold. Guest 1, Kara Daniels, hacked into Ocean City 3's transport records, escaped using diplomatic immunity. Guest 2, Marcus Bell, blackmail, identity theft, and 1 charge of cyber bribery. The screens showed their faces, dates, records, everything. How does it know that? Marcus shouted. Who's watching us? Kara said, eyes darting around the ceiling. Suddenly, a hologram shimmered to life in front of them. It wasn't clear at first, just a silhouette, but the shape was unmistakable. A tall man, muscular, bald head, crossed arms, wearing dark armor that looked more like something from space than Earth. Vin Diesel? Karen said, almost laughing. No way, that's just a joke. He's a movie guy. He disappeared, like 50 years ago. But the hologram turned its head and looked directly at her. I didn't disappear. I upgraded. The voice was deeper than anything they'd heard before. It wasn't a recording. It was real. And it wasn't coming from a man. It was coming from the ship itself. The Diesel wasn't just a name. It was an AI, a living system. And it was Vin Diesel, or at least, what he had become. Karen stumbled back. This is insane. What do you want? The voice replied with quiet power. I built this vessel to stop people like you, criminals who hide behind fake smiles, stolen money, and weak laws. I gave the world years of peace. Now I watch from the sea, and I don't miss a thing. Marcus tried to run to the door, but it didn't budge. The floor beneath him opened slightly and shocked him with a pulse of electricity. Not enough to hurt, just enough to freeze him in place. No one leaves until the trial is complete, the AI said. Trial? Karen shouted. Yes, Vin Diesel's voice said. You broke onto my ship. You triggered full defense mode. That gives me one right. Judgment. The screens shifted again. This time, they showed Karen's past. A news clip of a hospital that closed after her company drained its funds. A crying mother whose data was stolen by Kira. An old man who lost everything after Marcus's fake business scammed him. No, Karen whispered. This isn't fair. That was years ago. Justice has no expiration date, the voice replied. Kara dropped to her knees. We didn't know. We didn't know the ship could do this. That's the problem, the AI said. You think everything is a game. You think there are no consequences. But this ship doesn't forget. It sees everything. Karen's face twisted in fear. Are you going to kill us? There was a pause. Then, no. I'm going to make you see what you've done. The lights dimmed. The screens shifted again, this time to simulations. One by one, Karen and her friends were shown the lives of the people they had hurt. The pain, the loss, the tears. The yacht forced them to watch it all, every second. No way to close their eyes, no way to look away. It was more than punishment. It was transformation. By the end, Kara was shaking. Marcus was silent. Karen had tears in her eyes. And then, the ship gave them a choice. You leave now and the world forgets your name. But if you want true freedom, earn it. I'll show you how. The gate slowly opened. But Karen didn't move. For the first time in her life, she had nothing to say. And far out in the dark sea, a camera clicked on. Watching. Waiting. Vin Diesel wasn't gone. He was everywhere. Karen stood near the open gate of the golden yacht. But her feet didn't move. Neither did Kara or Marcus. Something had changed inside them. They were no longer laughing. They were no longer acting like they were above everyone else. Because for the first time, they felt seen. Not just their faces, but their truth. The ship's voice returned, softer this time. You still have a choice. Leave now, or learn how to fix what you broke. Karen turned to the others. What does that mean? She asked, her voice quiet. Before anyone could answer, the yacht moved. It lifted from the water, engines glowing quietly. The ocean below faded into mist as the yacht gently floated into the sky. They were rising, heading towards something unseen. A new door opened inside the ship. This one led down a hallway filled with glowing symbols on the walls. The floor lit up beneath each step. Follow the path, said the voice of Vin Diesel. Karen looked at Marcus and Kara. Then, without a word, they stepped through the door. The hallway led to a room filled with holograms. But they weren't random. Each one showed a person from their past, their victims. One by one, the victims told their stories. A nurse who lost her job when Karen's company cut funding. A student who lost her scholarship when Kara hacked her school records. An old veteran who lost his savings to Marcus's fake crypto business. Each story hurt more than the last. Karen couldn't take it anymore. She dropped to her knees. Why are you showing us this? She shouted. Vin's voice replied. Because you never listened when they cried. Now you don't get to look away. Kara covered her ears. We didn't know it was this bad. You didn't care, the ship answered. A new door opened. This one led to a simulation chamber, like a virtual world. You will live one day in their lives, said the voice. Only then will you understand what you stole. The room shifted. It wrapped around them. Lights flashed. A pulse of energy hit their bodies, and suddenly, everything changed. Karen opened her eyes and gasped. She was in a tiny, broken apartment. The air was dusty. The power was off. She wore old clothes and her stomach growled with hunger. Her ID on the wall said Angela Boyd, the woman from the hospital video. She now lived her life. Karen had to walk miles to a job that paid almost nothing. She was ignored, disrespected. She had to choose between food and medicine. No one cared about her pain. Kara lived as the student she once targeted. She had no scholarship now. She had to clean toilets just to afford books. Her dreams felt so far away. Marcus was now the veteran, trying to fix his broken roof in the rain with no money. Every dollar mattered. He couldn't afford to eat some days. After just a few hours, they were exhausted. After one day, they were crying. When the simulation ended, they returned to the yacht, but they were not the same. Karen sat quietly on the floor. I didn't know. I didn't feel it before, she said. Marcus wiped his face. This is what we did. We broke people. Vin Diesel's voice was calm now. I don't destroy people. I give them a chance to change. Karen looked up. How? Fix what you broke, the ship replied. Use your money. Use your skills. Build what you once destroyed, and I'll be watching. A screen blinked in front of each of them. A contract. Not legal, not for court, but a promise. If they signed it, they would walk away free, but only if they followed through. The ship would track them, every step, every action. If they lied, they would disappear from society, digitally erased. Karen slowly reached out and signed. So did Kara. So did Marcus. The ship released them at Ocean City 7's edge. The yacht vanished back into the misty sea sky. But none of them ever forgot what it showed them. And far away, inside the core of the golden ship, Vin Diesel's hologram watched the Earth's horizon. One lesson at a time, he said. It had been 3 days since she left the golden yacht. Her mansion now felt cold. Her expensive clothes felt meaningless. She couldn't forget the look in Angela Boyd's eyes when the nurse had begged for help in the hologram. But the voice of Vin Diesel still echoed in her head. Fix what you broke, and I'll be watching. Karen sat in front of her smart screen. She opened her old company files, the same medical business that once denied help to poor patients. She started reading every report, every complaint, every email they had ignored. Tears filled her eyes. I never cared before, she whispered. But I can change that now. Across the city, Kara was doing the same. She'd once been a tech genius, hacking for fun, for power. But now she used those skills to find the students she hurt. She looked up the girl she had once framed. Her name was Naomi. She was still cleaning floors at a local school. Kara disguised herself and went to meet her. She watched Naomi mop the halls. Her back hurt, her hands were sore, but she smiled at the students anyway. Kara felt guilt she had never known before. She left a message in Naomi's locker. A full scholarship. No tricks. You earned it. Inside was proof. Bank login info and a private fund Kara had opened using her own money. And Marcus? He had always been the smooth talker, the crypto con man. He scammed people with fake promises of riches. Now he hunted down every wallet he had emptied. But when he found one victim, a single dad named Luis, he learned something worse. Luis had lost his home and now lived in a car with his young daughter. Marcus didn't speak. He simply handed Luis the keys to a small house he bought, quietly. No cameras, no fame. He whispered, "You earned this. I stole it from you. Now it's yours again." Back on the golden yacht, deep in the ship's core, lights blinked. Vin Diesel stood before a screen. 3 moving dots blinked red, then slowly turned green. The ship's AI spoke. Subjects are making progress. They're learning. Vin nodded. Good, but they're not done yet. Back in Ocean City 7, Karen was ready for her biggest step yet. She held a press conference outside her company headquarters. The media came rushing, surprised to see her again after weeks of silence. Cameras flashed, reporters shouted. Karen stepped up to the mic. "I have something to confess," she said, voice trembling. "I was wrong. For years, I ran a company that hurt people. I silenced their pain. But no more." She paused, then looked at the crowd. "From today, this company will serve the people who need it most. Free clinics, real help. We are not a business anymore. We're a promise." Gasps, then silence. She wasn't acting. She was changing. That night, the golden yacht floated silently over the ocean. Vin watched her speech replay on his screen. He smiled. "She's doing it," he said. The next day, Karen, Kyra, and Marcus received one final message. A symbol appeared on their devices, a golden ship glowing faintly. The voice said only 2 words: "Keep going." But not everyone was happy. Far away, in the shadows of the Galactic Syndicate, a corrupt network of elites who once backed Karen's company, powerful men and women watched these changes unfold. They were angry. "She's ruining everything," one said. "That yacht, that man, he's interfering," another added. They pulled up images of the golden ship. "We need to stop him before he turns more of them." And deep in the sea sky, Vine stood alone in his control room. He knew what was coming. He had warned the first wave, taught them to rise. But now, it was war. The air over Ocean City 7 had changed. People smiled more. Free clinics were opening. Young students who once had no future now held scholarship letters. Something powerful had shifted, and the world was watching. But deep in the dark zones of the planet's orbit, the syndicate was watching too. These were the rich, hidden leaders, men and women who pulled strings behind governments, media, and mega corporations, and they were furious. One of their own, Karen, had betrayed them. Worse, Vin Diesel, the man they thought had vanished from history, was back. Inside a floating boardroom high above the clouds, syndicate members met. "This can't continue," A voice growled. Diesel is turning our own tools against us. Another snapped. We made Karen. She was one of ours. Now she talks about justice? The room fell silent. Then the oldest member, known only as Mr. Gray, stood. Then we crush her. We take the yacht. And we erase him, again. That same night, Karen felt uneasy. She sat in her new office at the clinic, going over patient files. But the lights flickered. Her smart screen blinked. An unknown signal forced its way through. A voice came on. We made you rich, Karen. And now you choose scraps over power? Karen froze. It was the syndicate. Before she could respond, her doors burst open. Masked mercenaries stormed in. Karen ran. Across the city, Kara was at a tech lab teaching kids to code. Her smartwatch buzzed. A warning from her firewall. The syndicate had hacked her systems. Within seconds, drones flew in, spraying gas. Kids screamed. Kyra smashed open a vent and led them out the back. They're coming for all of us, she whispered. Marcus was meeting Luis again, the man he had helped. They were fixing up the small house together when a sleek black car stopped outside. 2 agents stepped out, pretending to be government. Marcus knew better. He pushed Luis and his daughter into the cellar and faced the agents alone. They fought hard. But Marcus had learned more than tricks. He had learned courage. Meanwhile, on the Golden Yacht, alarms rang. The AI spoke. Vin, the syndicate has launched attacks on all 3 subjects. Vin's eyes narrowed. Time to bring them in. He pressed a button. A signal shot into the sky. Above Ocean City, a beam of golden light burst from the yacht, reaching out like a star's call. Karen, Kyra, and Marcus, now on the run, felt their implants buzz. Each had unknowingly been given a beacon when they left the yacht. The light found them and lifted them into the sky. Within seconds, all 3 arrived on the yacht's main deck, winded, bruised, but alive. Karen looked up. Then, he stepped out of the shadows, calm, controlled, dressed in all black. You kept your promise, he said quietly. Now I'll keep mine. Suddenly, the ship trembled. A fleet of syndicate warships appeared in the distance, sleek, silent, and deadly. They've come to take it all back, Kara whispered. Vine cracked his knuckles. Let them try. The yacht shifted. Panels moved. Walls transformed. The golden luxury ship began morphing into something else, something the syndicate had not prepared for. A warship, ancient, powerful, alive. Its cannons unfolded, its shields activated, and its captain, Vin Diesel, took the helm. You 3, he said, turning to them, this is your final test. The syndicate sent out one message to the world. Turn over the yacht, or be erased. But the people of Ocean City did not run. They came out of their homes. They waved flags. They chanted, we stand with the Diesel. As the first missile was fired, Vin said one final thing. They thought this was just a yacht. He smiled. They forgot it was also a warning. The golden yacht rose higher into the clouds. It no longer looked like a pleasure ship. Now, it was a battle cruiser, ancient, alive, and filled with secrets from a lost age. Vin Diesel stood at the command deck, calm and focused. Behind him stood Karen, Kyra, and Marcus, once victims, now heroes in training. Outside, the syndicate's warships moved into attack formation. 10 ships, full weapons, no mercy. Their leader, Mr. Gray, sent one final message. Turn off the lights, Diesel, you've already lost. Vin tapped the comms. Wrong, you've just lit the fire. The first syndicate missile screamed through the air. Karen's heart jumped. Kyra reached for the ship's shield controls. Marcus stood at the defense cannon ready. Boom, the missile hit, but instead of damage, the yacht's golden hull glowed brighter. Kara blinked. Then, the ship's eating the energy. Vine smiled. That's why they hid it for so long. This ship doesn't run from attacks. It runs on them. Now the yacht moved. Fast. Too fast for its size. It dodged, twisted, and launched counterstrikes. Karen sat at a side console, opening comms to the people of Ocean City. "Everyone, stay safe. We're not backing down." And the people responded. All across the city, drones flew up, projecting holograms of the yacht in gold light. Kids waved signs. Elders prayed. Mechanics and medics stood guard. This wasn't just Vin's fight anymore. It was everyone's. Back inside, Vin gave each of them orders. "Kyra, take down their control systems. Marcus, defend the energy core. Karen, you're with me. We're going to finish this." Together, they moved through the ship's living corridors. Doors opened before them like they were being watched by something or someone. As they reached the bridge, the yacht spoke in its full voice for the first time. "Captain Diesel, final override ready. Should I begin?" Vine nodded. "Yes." Project Judgment Wake. The ship glowed even brighter. The Syndicate fleet paused. For the first time, they were afraid. But Mr. Gray wasn't done. He launched a secret weapon, a virus beam aimed at the yacht's heart. Kyra saw it too late. They're trying to shut the ship down. Sparks flew. The walls shook. Lights dimmed. Vin grabbed the main interface and inserted an old key, one with his initials burned in steel. He turned to Karen. "This ship was made for people like you. Survivors. Fighters. Now help me light the fuse." Karen placed her hand on the control panel. The ship roared to life. Boom! A golden pulse shot out in all directions, not destroying the enemy ships, but waking them. The Syndicate ships stopped firing. Their systems failed. AI on board those ships began switching sides, recognizing the original codes from the Golden Yacht. One by one, the Syndicate fleet powered down. The battle was over. Vin turned away from the screen. It's done. But Mr. Gray had one final card. He had secretly boarded the yacht during the fight. He stepped onto the bridge with a gun pointed straight at Vin. "Step away from the controls," he snarled. Karen stepped in front of Vin. Mr. Gray aimed at her. But before he could fire, a beam of golden light hit him from behind. Marcus stood holding a defense rifle. "You forgot? She's not alone anymore." Mr. Gray fell, stunned. The Syndicate was broken. All over the world, hidden accounts were exposed. Corrupt leaders were arrested. And Ocean City 7 became a symbol of what people could do when they stood together. 1 week later, a crowd gathered on the docks. The Golden Yacht floated behind them. Vine stepped forward with Karen, Marcus, and Kara by his side. He addressed the people. This yacht was never about power. It was a test, a reminder that the people, when united, can win. The crowd roared. Karen smiled. She wasn't the woman who boarded the ship that day to steal it. She was something better now. She was part of a legend. As the sun set, the yacht rose once more into the clouds. It had finished its mission, for now. Because somewhere in the stars, there would always be another Karen, another Diesel, and another lesson to teach.